Some of the other crazy ones I've done is a Nintendo Wii,
Right.
Xbox 360. What else have I forgot? The Pentium 3 build's quite a famous one as well. I had a 38-day build of Rust going on that one,
Mm-hmm.
which which was quite interesting.
Yup. 38 days.
38 days,
Jeez.
many people. That's not the worst compile though. The worst one was on the PlayStation 2, which I think you came on stream
Yeah,
for, which was
that was back when I was doing my my LFS stream.
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's when I found your channel. I don't understand. I simply don't understand why. I think that's the most important question. Besides just, you can check if it works by just searching on the internet. Like that's an easy enough thing to do. But why? Why are you doing this?
The challenge really. So obviously it started off that I found a project that someone made a 5.4 Linux kernel
Mm,
over I think it's FRN07 PS2. If you search for that, you'll find the GitHub page. And I thought, I wonder if I can get Gentoo to run on that. Obviously, I started with that just to learn because obviously
mm,
I just like learning new things, and that kind of spiraled into fixing some bugs on Gen 2. So MIPS works better, and but the worst part when you joined was I needed to get a live CD out, so I was about to stay away for work for a couple of weeks.
mm.
Couldn't get a cross compiler working, so I thought, screw it, let's just compile on the console. Streamed it, and then managed to get a record number of views watching one line move I think about every hour.
Yup.
For people that don't know, though, DHCP-D normally compiles in 5 seconds. Took
Mm.
10 hours on a PlayStation 2.
Wait, so are you compiling like everything when you're doing Gen 2? You're not using any binaries, or are there some binaries involved there? Because I know there are binaries in the Gen 2 repos.
Yeah, on my main system, obviously, I use binaries. I'm
Sure,
not
sure, sure.
crazy all the time, but on the PlayStation 2, I usually use something like QEMU.
Mm.
You can emulate obviously different architectures on that to do the cross compiling or cross dev, and then just transfer the files over.
Ah, yep. That makes
But for
sense.
this one time, I just couldn't get it to work, so I just SSH'd in and did it. On the
Mhm.
plus side, though, we got to see how stable the kernel was, and it's a pretty damn stable kernel, I've got to admit, on that sort of hardware, because we've only got 22 megabytes of RAM available, um,
Yep. Um,
and the root device is only USB 1.1, so that's 11 megabits per second. You can imagine how fast that swap was going.
oh, that sounds rough as hell. How many parts was the PS2 one? What is it? It's
It's about 26. Most of them, though, is just me trying to learn how to get init RAM FS to work because I've never done it before.
yep.
Um, if you find the one where I actually get it, which I think is around 24, 25, you can
Mhm.
hear me pop off quite a lot. Because but say most of it is just me trying something and
Mhm.
then it not working. It was
Yep.
absolutely awful. But the actual compiling on the PS2, that was easy. Like it's like when you got to learn something new, it's always hard, isn't it?
Mm. I think a lot of people actually forgot there was actually like an official like Linux distribution for the PS2. So like installing Linux on a PS2 isn't actually like obviously compiling everything is ridiculous and takes an insane amount of time, but the idea of having Linux on a PS2 isn't in and of itself that insane. Um
Yeah, no, you are right. I mean, back in the day, around I think it was around about 2004, there was a sort of semi-official Gentoo project for the official PS2 Linux pack that
mhm,
was out. One of the devs, I think it was Kuma. I might be pronouncing his name wrong. He actually had one built, ready to go on there.
mhm.
And actually, it was his project that got me down this weird hobby of installing Gentoo on random things. Because
Mhm.
obviously, even when I was a young child, at actually I suppose I was 18, I was installing on weird things back then.
Oh, so there's a history to this. It's not
Oh,
just
there's definitely history. I mean, yeah, I mean that the PS2 is my famous one, but there's a lot more worse than that out there, really. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the project of me getting modded in Gentoo running on a 2.6 kernel, just for the fun.
I haven't seen it, but I see it's in your VOD your VODs on YouTube. Um
Yeah. That one's more entertaining, I think. That's my personal challenge build. That was
Uh-huh.
it's obviously I've had to learn how to patch kernel headers and stuff like that to get
Mhm.
things to work. That one was quite exciting.
So, how long have you sort of been involved in Linux? Like, have you, are you one of those people who, when they first started using a computer, it was with Linux, or was there at some point you were actually sane?
I don't think I was ever sane, but I think I got my first computer around '97,
Mhm.
and I switched to Linux in 2001,
Oh,
and basically
wow.
been using it ever since then.
Mm.
First distribution being Red Hat 9, I believe. Back when we had dial up, took me, I think it was a week, no, 9 days, sorry, to download the CDs to get that installed. Only to find out that my ISP didn't work in Linux, which was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, right. That was a thing at one point, wasn't it?
Yep, it was terrible. That's when I learned all about Win modems.
Hmm.
But yeah, but that wasn't my first ever time in Linux though. That was the more interesting story. I remember once I bought a PC gaming magazine,
Uh-huh.
and I had a second free disc in it, and obviously I think I was about 16 at the time, something like that, maybe a little bit younger, naive child still. Left the CD in, wondering why it wasn't working in Windows.
Hmm.
Rebooted the computer. When I
Oh.
rebooted, obviously it booted straight in, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" Inquisitive child that I am, I decided to install it on the
Ah.
family PC that cost a few £1,000 at the time. My father wasn't very best impressed with me, but that was probably the thing that got me down a path of an IT career,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I obviously learned how to fix computers from that. But
Mhm.
it does always make me laugh that everyone says Linux was hard to install back there, and there's me just pressing some random buttons, ending up with a terminal to mess around in.